Welcome back to the Queer Economy, where we celebrate LGBTQ plus people around the world as they impact business, culture, community, and more. I'm your host, Ben Ferney, and today we're joined by Charlie Sprinkman, founder of the app Everywhere is Queer, which features a worldwide map of over 19,000 queer-owned organizations, a job board, and so many things. Charlie, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I am obsessed with your app, Everywhere is Queer. Everywhere I
Thanks.
go, that's one of the first things I'm looking at, and I'm planning my trips around it.
No,
So really, it's such an honor to have you on
no,
the show because you built something so cool.
thank you. It's exactly why I built it.
Yeah, and I'm excited to dig into that a little bit throughout the show. But before we do, I want to just give you a sec. Give us an
Yeah.
introduction. There's things I missed.
Hi, everyone. I'm Charlie. I use he, they pronouns. Born and raised in rural Wisconsin, so I'm not a city girl at heart. I grew up in rural America, so my entire upbringing was in a very conservative Catholic family. And so to be so publicly out and running a business called Everywhere is Queer, we've come a far, far way, and I'm so grateful to be here. I really truly built Everywhere is Queer with rural America at like the core of it all. Over 60 million people live within rural America. And my mission here at Everywhere is Queer is to allow the queer, trans, and ally community to navigate as our most authentic selves every single day, all while supporting queer entrepreneurs and keeping it within the queer economy. It's been a big journey. I went to undergrad in Colorado. I've been to 47 of the 50 states. I've experienced queer community all over the United States and globally. I've been to a lot of places, and it's all accumulated and built to this app. This app is like my lived experience. I wish I had my app when I traveled to 47 of the 50 states. But yeah.
I want to touch real fast on what you just mentioned about 60 million Americans living in rural America. I think a lot of times when you live in a conservative area or a rural area, there's this feeling that you want to run away or, that you need to get
Yeah.
out in order to have more community and in order to find where you belong. And in a lot of ways, it is safer to do so. But I do think it's important
Yeah.
to take a moment and recognize that there are queer stories in every corner of the world, in every pocket, every
Yeah.
community holds queer stories. And your app literally shows that. I mean, you get on the app and you can literally see in all types of communities around the world, not just the country, but the world, that there are not only queer stories,
Yeah.
but queer owned businesses and people contributing to the economy. So I love what you
Yeah.
do. And
Thanks.
it's powerful to look at.
And I urge people all the time, app users of ours and the EIQ community, it stands for Everywhere is Queer, reach out to these organizations within your community. They are queer people that exist and own a business within your community. And ask them to grab a coffee. They'll tell you no if they don't have the availability. Build community with these people. I really urge if there's only one organization, get to know that business owner. They are a queer person in your community.
Okay, I'm excited to dive more into the app, what started it, and all the things. But before we do, I do want to give a minute just to hear a little bit about your personal queer journey and
Yeah.
anything you feel comfortable sharing around that.
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, I grew up in Wisconsin, raised conservative and Catholic, obviously super difficult, being raised in that community for myself. And it really started to expand when I left for college and I started to have some open-minded or somewhat liberal friends for the first time. And I'm like, wait, your parents are liberal? I didn't know that anyone above the age of 40 could be liberal. Because every single adult in my life above the age of 40 was conservative in my community and growing up. I didn't have a single out aunt, uncle, cousin, one of 20 plus cousins, 22 cousins or something like that. I'm the only out still to this day.
Wow.
Statistically, there's probably one in there, but my journey did not really start until the latter end of college. I came out my junior year of college, started to live my life a little bit. I started telling people, I was so scared still and so shy and such a baby gay. And then post college, I got a job as a rep for an organic beverage company. And I traveled to 41 of the 50 states in 2019.
Wow.
And this was like I was recently out, so I like hopped on the dating apps, Tinder, and I was entering a new city like almost every other day.
Hmm.
And I just like met up with queer people and just got to like hear about people's experiences in all these different cities across the country. And for me, I just like wanted to be around queer people and queer spaces. And, there every time I would Google, like queer owned businesses in this city, I remember being in New York City and I was like, I don't like when you search queer owned businesses, it was gay bars. This was like when the idea started to seed of like I want to find more queer spaces.
Yeah.
I'll get back to my queer journey here, and then we can get more into the seeding of the app. But yeah, I mean, this is when I started to really blossom as my queer self was in this massive journey that I went on in 2019. Ever since then, I've grateful to live in communities that there's bigger queer populations. I currently live in Portland, Oregon, and yeah, it's
I
kind of,
love
I
that.
mean, I'm just like living my authentic self, and I
Yeah.
would say all my friends are queer. Yeah.
The thing I love about what you just talked about is the alignment and the timing in your life. I think there's something exciting about you on your own personal journey, graduating, getting this job, and then having the opportunity to be exposed to so many different queer people and queer stories. Along that, in that year, as you did that, what are some of the things that you learned about yourself and just in general?
I think I'm a lesbian at heart. I am like the opposite of a typical gay man. It's like cis gay man who's like out there at the circuit parties and like want to talk about my feelings like first, like check in, I'm a deeply emotional person. And I was not raised in a deeply emotional environment. And so, yeah, that is definitely something that I'm still learning about myself today. But I absolutely love to hear people's stories. And like, I just love meeting new people. And like, I think people are fascinating. I think queer people are fascinating. I think like, I love to hear people's stories and like, how they got to where they are at that point in their life. Yeah, I've always been like a little entrepreneur. Like this is my first business I brought to market, but I've always been like someone that's like, I have this idea, I have this idea, I have this idea, I have this idea. And like what I witnessed, throughout those travels is what brought this idea to life.
It's cool to hear the things that led to where you're at today. Okay, so you're in New York City, and let's talk
Mhm.
about the lead up and the inspiration that led to the app and your business.
Yeah, so 2019, I had this job and I went to 41 in the 50 states. I met people from all over. I had an absolute blast, anywhere from Boone, North Carolina, small town, North Carolina. I was all over. I drove the northern route of the United States, the central route, the southern route. I mean, I have Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Alaska left to visit on my rule sleeping one night in the state. So I've truly experienced communities all over. So that's 2019. 2020, February 4th, I choose to quit that job and I moved to New York City. I signed a year lease in Brooklyn, New York. 6 weeks later, the pandemic hits. I'm in my shoebox of an apartment and I don't know anyone. I didn't have a job. I was moving to New York to like live out my most authentic queer life at the age of 22. I was like, I'm gonna do it. Because in my travels, I fell in love with New York City and just like the whole energy and everything. Pandemic hits, I'm like freaking out as everyone else is, and I'm like, no job. I'm like, what the hell do I do? And so I moved out of New York City because I'm like, I don't know anyone here. It's a disaster. It's like one of the first places I hit in the United States. And so I moved back to Wisconsin with my family. And I'm like, okay, I got to get out of here. I love my family today, but just Wisconsin is not the place for me right here, right now, at that point in my life, and still today. And so my friend picks me up in a car and we moved to Boulder, Colorado. I went to college in Fort Collins, Colorado. So I was familiar with Colorado. We had some community there. Pandemic, though, it was so hard. This little gap in my time in life is not that exciting. I get a job, nothing to do with queerness, blah, blah, blah. Then I moved to Bend, Oregon, which is small town, mountain town, which it's a town of 150 to 200,000 people, and it has one of the strongest queer communities I've ever experienced. And when in Bend, I have a remote job I was flying down to LA once a month for this job, nothing to do with queerness. And I have this idea of everywhere is queer. I was in Boulder when I thought of the idea. I volunteered at Brave Trails, which is a queer youth leadership camp for 12 to 18-year-old youth down in LA in 2021. And after Brave Trails, I was driving back to Boulder. I had an 18-hour drive. And at Brave Trails, for 10 days, being surrounded by around queer people for 10 days was the most euphoric experience for myself. Like everyone comments on my voice. I get called a woman on the daily, still to this day, ma'amed anywhere I go. And at Brave Trails, never got misgendered once. I mean, no one commented on my voice. I've had a lot of voice dysphoria. That's what I was bullied for as a kid. And Brave Trails was just such an amazing place. And so I was driving back to Boulder and I asked myself, I'm by myself in my car. My best ideas come in the car. How can I create that euphoric experience at a global scale? How can I allow our community, the queer and trans community, to be seen as our most authentic selves every single day? And I was like, I need to connect us to the spaces that see us as our most authentic selves. Just like Brave Trails was a space. And I was like, queer owned businesses, not ally owned, queer owned organizations run by queer people who probably hire queer people, maybe not all the time, but like have queer staff, you know,
Yeah.
and just are thinking like a queer person would, like a lived experience of a queer person. And I was like, I think this is kind of good. And so I got back to Boulder. I was asking my friends, I'm like, what do y'all think? What do y'all think? They're like, I don't know. I think it's a good idea. And so I moved to Bend and I'm like working on trying to figure out, I have no tech background. I'm like, how could I build a map of pins, you know? And I'm Googling and Googling. Pre-chat GBT, I wasn't chat GBT in anything at this point. And Google, there's Google My Maps is how it all started.
Mm.
If you look at my first map, there's videos out there. At my NBC interviews, you'll see these images of my original map. I'm colorblind. It's embarrassing, you know? But yeah, I did a Google My Map and I posted to Instagram January 2nd, 2022. So that Brave Trails was summer of 2021. I moved to Bend and January 2nd, 2022, I just posted my logo to Instagram. And within 3 months, I mean, I was blasted out to 90 million people with an interview on Now This. They put me on the Now This women's channel. Not a woman. There you go. The ma'am continues. Bad press is good press, some people say. And that's when it all started. And applications just started flowing in. And I was reaching out to orgs on Instagram. I searched hashtag queer owned and I was just like DMing businesses. And I was like, hey, it's building a worldwide map of queer owned businesses. It's never been done at a global scale. Here's how to apply. Fill out this Google form. And I overlaid an Excel file, a Google Excel doc on Google My Maps. And I was
Mm.
just deleting it and uploading it every day is how I updated the map. And that's how it all started. I'll stop here, but and then we had a second iteration of the map, and then now we're at the app, the
Yeah.
third iteration. But yeah.
As you got the idea, you're in Colorado, you've got this idea, and you're like, wait, I think this
Mm-hmm.
is good. You're talking to
Mm-hmm.
people, you're
Mm-hmm.
working it out in your brain, probably
Mm-hmm.
writing it out. From then to you starting to do, Google My Map and just figuring out how you could do it, did you have any fear or doubts about yourself in that process?
I am like such a natural, like, let's just fucking go, you know? And if this shit doesn't work, like skirt to the next plan, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, of course I had doubts, you know, but I will say that my whole life wasn't reliant on this idea.
Yeah.
Like when I built this idea, I was building this out of the kindness of my heart for our community.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I want our community to know where our safer spaces are. I had no idea this was going to turn into like a full-fledged business that to date like pays me a salary. Like insane. You know, how I kind of run in this world is I'm like, let's just throw it to the wall. Let's see if it sticks and let's keep moving. And so like I threw it to the wall. I put it on in my gosh, my first post on Instagram, like talk about a launch photo. It's my logo with a white background. Brilliant, Charlie. That's beautiful. Like that's great. What? I laugh at myself and I'm like, whatever, you know, I just did it. I just posted it and you keep moving forward.
Yeah.
That's my advice to entrepreneurs, though. Nothing's going to be perfect. Keep moving forward. Do not get caught up in the little things. I know my app isn't perfect. We're going to keep making it better. But like, you got to keep moving forward if you want to like keep building something.
Yeah. Because if you wait for it to be perfect, you'll never do it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so it's Google My Map. It's in that phase, but
Yeah.
you've got all this attention from Now This and different
Yeah.
interview things. So
Yeah.
take us from there to building the full-on app.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I mean, I had a full-time job at this point, you know. So I'm working full-time. I'm building this map. NBC put me as a queer mapper. So I'm a queer mapper at this point. And my lonely road trip in 2019 is what their article said. Was not a lonely road trip. I had a job. I was fine, you know, but that's what they picked out of my interview. And I'm building it. I'm building it. I'm working the Instagram, you know, like this reel's going viral. This reel's going viral. I've got 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 followers, you know. So starting to build and build, and queer-owned businesses are like, this is amazing. Like, yes, we want to join. Like when I would tell them like, hey, it's a free application, like they're like, yes, yes, yes. So there's a point where my map is like, the pins were like so big and it was like so bad. And I mean, I'm sure you can make them smaller. I just, again, no tech background. I had no developer involved. This is Charlie, colorblind Charlie going after it. And these two women out of Seattle, they run a company called Proxy, which is a map-based organization. They reached out and said, you're amazing. We're building our own platform, Proxy. Like they were at the start. And they were like, we'd love to like have you transition your map onto Proxy pro bono. Like we want to just like help you out. We think you're amazing. So I'm like, let's do it. So we transitioned the Google My Maps into Proxy. I don't know, maybe that was like a year and a half we were on Proxy. You could filter by category. I thought it was so cool. We had all these own pins, all web-based at this point, no app in sight. And then I post an Instagram reel calling out for queer tattoo artists. It goes completely viral. October 2023. And I get a cold email from this human in Los Angeles. And he says, "Hey, I'm a developer. I'm gay. I'm a part of the community. If you ever wanted this to be an app, I would love to have a conversation. I could build this into an app for you. Like, I would love to do this for the community." And I always wanted an app. But I mean, when I Googled, it was 30K, 50K, $200 an hour for developers to build this. I made $9,000 in the first year of running my business. So, I mean, it wasn't like I was making money. Like, I was truly building this out of the kindness of my heart. So my developer, still my developer today, we hop on a call, we figure out, a contract. He did not charge me the $200 an hour. I did pay him from day one. We went into development immediately. And from October 2023 to February 2024, we built the first iteration of our app. I was copy design, all like legal. I mean, developing an app is insane and it's a lot of work. And October 2023 is when I quit my full-time job. So I said, I'm going all in on this app. I was not paid from October to mid 2024. We launched the app February. I have to share this like short funny story. Anyone publishing an app to iOS or Android App Store, when you get approved by both app stores and you're ready to go, and there's like literally a button that says publish. When you hit that publish button, what would we all think? It's gonna publish right then and there. Nope. Your app won't be published for 24 to 48 hours. I'm doing a global launch. I had 175 interviews globally. February 20th, 2024. We hit publish the night before, February 19th at like 6 p.m. because I'm like, I just want to hit publish. Let's just make sure it goes live, And we get this pop up and it says, your app's not going to go live for 24 to 48 hours. And I was going on the news the next morning at 7 a.m. In 12 hours. Started sobbing. I started sobbing. I said, my whole life's ruined. But we Googled and found on Reddit that if enough people download your app at the beginning, like when you hit publish, you could find it. You couldn't search everywhere as queer in the App Store. It wouldn't show up, but you could link it out and you could download it or something like that. Yeah. And so we started texting every person in my phone contacts. I don't care who you were, how I knew you. I was telling you to download my app. And at 6:45 a.m. on February 20th, 2024, our app populated onto the App Store, iOS, not Android. And at 7 a.m., I went live on the news.
My gosh.
Insane. I didn't sleep 1 minute that night.
Texting everyone all night long.
Literally, my partner at the time, bless him, he was like, I got you. And every single person we both knew. I mean, it was like, download this app right now.
Wow. Okay. I just love your mentality of let's just go for it and
let's fucking go.
Improve as we go. No?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, where would we be?
We are as humans.
Yeah. So it's been live for a year and a half, just over that.
Mm-hmm.
And you just launched another, like an update recently, which is
V2. That was just like, we had been working on that for a few months and it was just an update to the app, but like our V2 of the app. Yeah. We're super excited about it. If you are a queer-owned organization, we'll just pop it in here. You'll apply via the profile tab of our app. It's free to join. If you know of a queer-owned organization, tell them to apply because we want all business owners' consent to be listed on our platform. I only approve. I do not add any organizations without their consent, right within the app, just the profile tab of the app.
And if you're not a queer-owned business or organization,
we
you
love
can
you.
Still download the app and see places
you can still download the app. Correct.
Okay, so from a business owner perspective, you went from idea to quitting your full-time job to now this is your full-time thing. Talk to me a little bit about your experience mentally in that process and what it looks like going from, okay, bye job, I'm quitting, I'm going all in on this, and now where you're at today.
How many times have I cried? Hundreds, But again, I'm a deeply emotional person. I'm a Sagittarius Cancer. If that means anything to you, the Cancer is like deeply emotional. It's been a roller coaster and figuring out how to have like a work-life balance when a lot of my work is on social media. I've built this organization from social media. And so make sure to follow us everywhere is queer. I mean, it's like I wake up and it's like thousands of DMs. So it's like, okay, I roll over and I'm like, let's tackle some of these. It's like the work-life balance. It's not like you're like log on, log off. It's like this organization is so integrated with my queer identity and my queer life And so it's been a journey on how to build that work-life balance. I joke that I'm like, I think I need to get some straight friends because I work with queer people. I am queer. I talk to queer people every day. My friends are queer. Like, I think I need to like not talk about queerness for like a 7 seconds in my day. But yeah, I mean, it's been a journey and I've gotten to a really healthy place of like work-life balance. I have 3 people that work for me. They're like part-time developer and a few other folks. And it's been a really big journey, but I am making the same salary I made at my last job, which is like so incredible and I could not be more grateful.
So for anyone out there who's looking at some sort of app process or, a business that
Yeah,
is focused or similar to this
yeah,
in some way, how do you monetize a business like that?
yeah. For us, it all started with brand partnerships. Before the app, I made my money, which was not a lot, but I made some through brand partnerships and influencer marketing, like on my social media. That's like the minimal of where I make my money today. That's just not who I am as a person. I would rather make my money other places. In app, organization can have a featured listing. We call them founding supporters of Everywhere's Queer, and they earn a long list of perks. They show up in on the home screen. They show up at the top of the list in app. All these things, monthly calls with me on Zoom call. Put them in a private Discord server, so they can network and support each other. And yeah, and then we do some like classic like email advertising. We have 100,000 email subscriber list. So make sure to join our newsletter every Tuesday and Thursday. We highlight 10 organizations each day from our platform, but those are small paid slots. So some money there and still some brand partnerships here and there that I like align with. Yeah.
So
So
there's a way. If
yeah,
if you're like, I have this business idea, but I don't know how to make money with it, just start and you'll figure it out along the way.
start talking to people. My advice to other entrepreneurs or founders is I found 5 entrepreneurs, founders that I really like. We are, our personalities are like a good match, and that's not everyone. And we talk once a month. We share decks. We support each other. Like we innovate with each other. We laugh, we cry, and we share like all the hardships, the successes. We support each other on social. Like this core group of 5 people for me, like they've witnessed me go from Google My Maps. I've been talking to one of them for 2.5 years. They've literally witnessed this entire thing happen, and we've been talking once a month for 2.5 years. Yeah, they live in New York City. And I didn't get to meet her until just a few months ago, when I was out in New York. But yeah, find your people because you can't do it alone.
Yeah,
Cannot do it alone.
totally. Ugh. Okay, now where do you see this going in the next 5 years? And I know that's like a daunting slash horrible question, and most people don't like it. But
Yeah,
future
yeah.
focused, where's this headed?
Yeah, of course. We have a list of 35 things that we want to bring into the app. Something that is coming that I will share is that we're integrating a queer affirming healthcare directory. So our mission is to connect the queer, trans, and ally community to safer spaces locally and globally. That started with queer-owned organizations, but we're going to navigate to bigger spaces because there are many ways. Our job board was one of those things after the queer-owned business. Queer people finding jobs at places that see us as our most authentic self. Amazing. Our job board allows for queer-owned organization and ally-owned organizations to post jobs. But when you're on our job board, you can filter off the ally-owned organizations. If you don't want to work for an ally-owned org and you want to work for a queer-owned org, we got you. Yeah, so our queer affirming healthcare directory, it's called OutCare. It's not ours. It's a nonprofit out of Los Angeles. They're doing amazing work. Dustin and Jordan are the founders behind OutCare, and they're connecting you, yeah, with queer affirming. I mean, a doctor, a therapist. We do have therapist category on our platform too, but diving deeper into the healthcare industry. And we have a lot more ideas that we're going to sprinkle out to connect folks. Just continuing to expand and grow. The hardest thing that we struggle with right now is reaching the masses of queer, trans, and allied individuals that should know about our app. So thank you for having me on here. We've had 250,000 people download our app. It's a lot of people. There are millions of
Yeah,
queer, trans, and allied. Yeah.
just getting
So next
started.
5 years, I mean, we just, yeah, I feels like we're just getting started yet. I'm like, oh my gosh, how much we've done so far. Expanding our platform and just growing in an authentic way.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, and this next question is an obvious one, but I do want to give a plug for it. If there are individuals who are listening to the show who might not see the importance of supporting a queer owned business or organization, so I'd love to hear from you. Why is that important?
I ask those people, why do you surround yourself around the people that you do? Probably because you feel loved, you feel seen, you feel heard, you laugh, you have a deep emotional connection with them. That is why the queer and trans community wants to go to queer-owned organizations, so we can be seen, we can be loved, we can be heard. Being seen as your most authentic self as a queer person, it's like having a big weight on your chest, and you're able to like take it off and take a deep breath for the first time. Do I enjoy getting manned every single day of my life? No. Have I gotten over it at this point? Yes. Is gender not a binary? Yes. Yeah. So that's why I could go on and on about why we want to. But the other thing I just want to say there is, as a closeted queer people, if we were, I, as a closeted queer kid going to Catholic private school, if I knew about the queer-owned coffee shop in my town and I was able to go sit there and just see queer people exist as a closeted kid, working, having jobs, running a business, that would have changed my life. And to date, there's a queer-owned coffee shop in my hometown where I grew up, and I had no idea it existed. It was around when I was in high school. So that is why we want to know where the queer-owned organizations are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Okay, I want to pause right here. Charlie, is there anything else you want me to ask you or any other stories you want to share?
Oh, there's so many amazing things that have come from my platform. And just like I've just had so many success stories, hair salons, and just like being able to cut gender affirming haircuts and like people coming in and feeling so seen and heard. And no, I mean, no other stories or anything like that that I have to share.
Okay, awesome. We're headed towards the wrap up. Before we jump into our lightning round of just fast, fun questions, where can people follow you and connect with you? Everywhere is Queer in the App Store, Instagram, TikTok. Make sure you're engaging and following. Sign up for the newsletter.
When you download our app, check it out. And if you like it, give us that 5-star review. We're rocking a 5.0 on iOS. I think we got a 4.8 or 4.9 on Android. We love you, Android folks. Please give us that love. We need to get that back up. But the best thing people can do to support Everywhere is Queer is tell your friends, tell your community, tell your ally friends, post in that Facebook group about our app. I am one person screaming from the rooftops who built this worldwide map of almost 20,000 organizations now. I need your help in spreading the word that our app exists. It's free. So thank you for anyone that does help us.
Okay, let's jump into the lightning round. If you had the day off and you're not allowed to work for the day, what are you doing?
I'm going to the beach in Italy with a glass of wine. I'm going to eat good food. I'm bringing my best friend. We're going to laugh our ass off till we're crying laughing. And that's what's going to happen.
The perfect day. Next question. What's your favorite piece of advice you've ever received?
You're never going to be perfect. So if you shoot to be perfect, you're always going to be let down. So why live a life of being let down when you can accept that you're just not going to be perfect?
Okay. What is your favorite dessert?
I don't really eat dessert and I don't like ice cream. I know, wild. I'm so crazy. But I'm like eating so much like sour candy these days, or like high chews. I like ate a whole bag of high chews the other day. So
good.
Yeah.
If you're on a road trip and you're stopping at a gas station and you're grabbing a snack, what are you grabbing?
A bag of chips. I love chips. I love a crunch.
Yeah, a good salty crunch. Where is somewhere you have not traveled that you're hoping to go to next?
I would love to visit Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Alaska to close out my last 3 states. I would love to go meet some queer community in those spaces because we're in all 50 states, meaning we have orgs in all 50 states. So I want to go visit them and get to know these people.
Awesome. Okay, last question. If you were in a tall building and you get on the elevator and there's one other person on the elevator and it's your younger self, you've got a short elevator ride with your younger self, what do you say?
Buddy, you have no idea what you're going to do and who you're going to become, and the therapy work that you're going to do to become this adult that owns their own business. You are so scared right now. You are so lost. You don't know how to process your emotions, thoughts, feelings, and you're going to figure it out. And I know that's really hard to understand as a little kid because having a scope of your emotions is really difficult, and you're going to figure it out. We're going to do this together, and you're never going to feel alone. You are loved by many people.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Charlie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay. All right, everyone. That's it for today's show. Thank you for tuning in. Please be sure you support Everywhere is Queer and Charlie on all the things, as well as sharing out this episode, rating and reviewing us. Until next time, be kind, be bold, be you. That's all for now.